Hi everyone, and welcome to the Monomyth Diaries, a bi-monthly podcast where ordinary people get to share their hero's journey. I'm Mandi.
And I'm Karen, and we'll be your hosts. Each episode will feature a hero who will share their journey of growth.
We'll hear stories about forgiveness, survival, determination, and much more.
We're glad you're joining us because we all have a monomyth to share, and someone out there needs to hear it.
So Christina, I'm just going to quickly recap what you told us in the previous episode. You became a mom at 13 years old. You moved out by 17, and Junior was about 4, and then you experienced tragedy. So when your second son, Robert, passed away, Junior was only 12 years old at this point, and you were in your mid-20s. What were some of the realizations or commitments you made to yourself after this loss?
I think one of the realizations is that it can happen to anyone. You know, you always think this could never happen to me until you're living in that moment, and it's very humbling to be that small percentage of humans experiencing that great tragedy. It's just not the way that things are supposed to be for a child to go before their parents. You're never mentally or physically ready for grief of that magnitude. And so it was life-changing. I moved cities, I moved jobs. My son went to live with his dad for a year after that happened because I just didn't know how to be a parent. We packed up the entire house, put it into storage. I lived in a fifth wheel trailer for almost 4 months while I kind of figured out what I wanted to do, and then was able to get an apartment out here while I was working, be a weekend mom for the first and only time ever, and then just try to build on communication and figure out who I was as a person. I was left feeling very empty, and I think empty doesn't even describe the vastness of the void that you feel when you lose a child.
And you said that during this time you went through some grief counseling, correct?
Yes. I was a part of a group and still associated with them called Compassionate Friends, and it is parents and siblings who have lost children or siblings. So I found that to be very comforting and very humbling, where I wanted my own grief process to go. Going to meetings and seeing humans who 6 years later were so greatly affected by the loss of their child that they couldn't leave their house and check their own mailbox wasn't something that I wanted for myself. It really forced me to push myself forward. We cremated him and spread his ashes on the Frio River. So I've always found that to be a great place of meditative solace to go to every year and just remember all of the wonderful little memories that I had with him and the joy that he brought in, but also how quickly things can change, and appreciate what I had going on in my life at that moment. So it's a place that my older son and I always go to find solace together.
How long did it take for you to take that step to meet up with Compassionate Friends, right?
Fairly quickly afterwards. So we were it took 8 months to get the report back of what happened. And we were well within that time frame. So I want to say within the first 3 months or so, that group had been suggested to me, and I had gone to my first meeting. And it's like once a month. And every year for National Bereaved Children's Day, we light a candle and speak our children's name, and we get to say a memory. And though incredibly heart-wrenching to go and do that, it's like a dagger to your heart to relive those memories and feelings. You're also very appreciative for those feelings and the ability to share with other humans and see someone who is 12 years into their journey, which is where I'm at now, versus someone who's just going through it that first year and just starting to navigate the immense feelings that you go through. And it's physical and emotional. You know, the emotion is so draining, it physically affects you as well. And then it also affects every relationship that you have around you.
Can you share how that was affecting your other relationships?
Yeah, it was. Your friends just really don't know what to say to you. Every relationship changed. People don't know how to, do you want to talk about it? do you not want to talk about it? You go to all of your family functions, and Robbie was one of 3 cousins born at the exact same time. So he has an older cousin and a younger cousin, and me and my 2 sister-in-laws, we would go and have lunches with our babies. And then I was the only one without a baby. So it's, how do you find the strength to even go to family functions when you're just going to be constantly reminded that you were that 1% that lost your happiness, but try to be happy for them every year when they have their birthdays. And I found that we weren't as close afterwards. There's just there's an invisible wall there for me. And it did change a lot of the relationships that I had. Moving from Baytown to Katy, leaving other relationships kind of behind in the past, and then starting completely fresh and new with a whole new circuit. So there were quite a few humans that I met here in Katy right from the beginning that are now my lifelong friends. And I was able, like, you know, the front facade of starting at a new place working, and you're just cocktail waitressing and bartending, and everyone sees this happy, amazing facade that you're putting on.
Right.
And those few humans that knew that table had a baby and I wasn't going to take it. Or, where's Christina right now? She's having a moment in the cooler because something triggered her. And I really bonded with them taking care of me that way.
Wow.
And just protecting my peace and privacy. So I have an original work husband. His name is Ben. He lives in Seattle now. I still go see him a couple times a year, and we've just continued to grow as humans together. I think like 13 years later, one of my other very best sisters, Cassandra, she still lives here in town. Her 3 kids go to Cinco Ranch. She's got them coming up and through, and the support and mentorship I got from her. She's a couple years older than I am, so she's like a big sister. And she would just be able to look at me, instantly know, and then we would just manage the situation from there. And I'm just forever grateful for some of those connections that I made here. I also feel as if Katy is a little softer than where I moved from.
Okay.
So very blue collar in Baytown, very white collar out here in Katy, and people really do talk more and communicate more. The bars I worked in Baytown, if there was an altercation, it was a physical altercation immediately. So out here in Katy, there's words spoken, and it gets physical sometimes, but from what I've seen, everything's handled with a little more grace, and it started to calm me down in those situations as well. So I was very humbled by what I went through. You're kind of living 2 lives as well, because there's that person that entertains and is constantly the life of the party, and you know, you're coming to this establishment so that you can have a fun time. And then the behind the scenes Christina, who is just a heartbroken mess, crying on the way home every day, singing all my gospel songs at the top of my lungs, and just looking for any little meditative piece of happiness I could do. So I found a lot of solace in yoga. I did get my instructor's certificate, not that I could really lead a yoga class. Yeah, so I'm a certified yogini.
Is that a real word?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
The title?
But I think that also taught me meditation and being able to take all of those thoughts out of my brain, quit overthinking on everything, focus on what I'm really appreciative for, what I'm grateful for, all the good things in the day, and then realizing that the rest of it is just life, and everyone's fighting some kind of battle.
So this is all like benefits you're gaining from having made the move from Baytown to Katy. Were there any other, role models or other gifts that you saw from moving?
Even the school system out in this area. So once I was settled, Junior came back to live with me after that stint with his dad, and we put him in junior high out here. So he was a Katy Tiger, and that was the most stability I think I was able to provide for him his entire life, and I did not take that for granted. He went to the same middle school and then went into Katy High School, and he had those friends every year, and had his first car out here and made all of those memories. I'm so grateful to his counselors at that time, because I would call the school and be like, hey, so this is what's going on in our personal life. Can you keep a little extra eye on him? Mm-hmm. And they would. They'd pull him in, they'd chat with him, kind of see where his mindset was. And if he did something where he was getting in trouble in school, they also knew kind of behind the scenes some of the trauma that could be causing this. And so constant communication with his teachers and counselors and me behind the scenes, I was always very appreciative for. I also think that he was behind a little when it came to education, but the schools out here were just so wonderful. You just saw the things that he was learning just exponentially growing, and then just all of the opportunities out here. So that was really nice. I really loved being a football mom and going to all the Katy Tiger games, and having all the friends would come out, and we would all go to a game and all go hang out afterwards to either celebrate a win or comfort him through a loss. And it was just a really great time of like family, but it was a family that we picked and put together.
Yeah.
So
Family.
Your found family.
My found family, yes. I found a lot of family out here, so I'll always be forever grateful for that.
And how did your relationship with Junior evolve after, now living in this kind of a community?
Yeah.
Right, because you said your parenting style has now shifted from the way that you were parenting when you were younger to now.
Right. A lot more communication and talking. Why are you acting this way? Not, I want you to act this way or else. Why are you acting this way, and what can we do to turn it around to this, and really understanding what's going on. But I also, I made more money out here. So I was able to provide him with more things. I don't think I ever would have been able to on the income that I was making in Baytown. Being able to buy your child his first vehicle so that he can go and make all of those first vehicle memories was just a really proud moment for me. So I think I had a lot of sense of pride being able to raise him here and provide such a nice lifestyle for him, though harder in his elementary years. I think I really pulled through and made up for that a lot in junior high and high school.
Just out of curiosity, what do you think helped you make that shift? Were there mentors? Were there strategies, tools, methodologies, things that you're using during this time to help you?
Definitely all of the parents that I was around in this area, they offered great mentorship, seeing their parenting style and how they would come together. My girlfriends, I think, were really powerful, having them to call and bounce ideas off of. He has like 20 aunties, right? I have a really broad sister circle of humans that have just scooped me up and would never let me go. And so being very close with them, it was basically a village that raised him out here.
Collective wisdom.
Collective wisdom. That's the best way to put that. So even though I didn't have the answers, what collective wisdom can I pull in? And we mentored him together, and he would get lectures from the aunties and uncles, and I'd be like, you sit there and you listen, because it's a respect for your elders as well. And whether he was rolling his eyes or actually paying attention, these are still mentors in his life now to this day that have watched him in the last 10 to 13 years since we've been in this area.
It's incredible.
Yeah, I have such a great support system in that way.
It's like you found an entire family. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, I'm just moved.
And we do Thanksgiving together and Christmases together. And now that I've grown out of the service industry and into being a photographer full time, I love my business that I've started, and I've learned a lot in the last couple of years growing just into my own entrepreneurship.
Mm-hmm.
My son, though, having grown up with his mom in the service industry, I raised him on bartending and cocktail waitressing, and he is now in that industry. And a lot of the humans I worked with that are my found family are now on his management team. So it's amazing to see all of my clientele, my guests, my customers. They are now his clientele and guests and customers. So I'll get photos all the time and be like, oh my God, your kid is the best. And it's him behind the bar, and he has just really come into his little customer service self and his willingness to like empathize with others. And I think me being able to be that person as a mentor for him has rubbed off a lot. And so it makes me really proud to see that.
You found a group of people to really support you.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the roughest times of your life.
Yes, genuine, authentic humans who just wanted nothing more than to make sure that I was also okay with they didn't ask for anything on the back end ever. And to this day, I feel like they have a sixth sense about me. They'll call me and be like, Christina, what are you doing? And I'll be like, I'm actually sad about something. And they're like, I knew it. I could sense it right now. And the universe told me to call you. What's going on? And I think that helps me with my communication as well. I always have a hard time ripping that facade off and just really opening up. You show up to something, and I've always been taught, you leave it at the door. Everyone's going through something. No one cares, Christina. But that's not true. People really do care. You don't have to leave everything at the door. Of course, there's tact and grace in where you're coming in and being like, oh, all this stuff is going on in my life. But it really does help to share it with someone so that they know and they're able to help you navigate your day, basically. You could go through it all alone, or you could go through it with your village, and I'd rather be surrounded by my village.
I call it processing.
Yes.
I process with other people, what it is that I'm
Yes.
going through, what it is that I'm feeling, and, because other people have been through it. So I don't have to go through it alone.
Right. And you don't realize the things that other people have gone through until you tell them something that's currently heavy on your soul, and they're like, well, actually, 10 years ago. And hearing that and opening up allows them to open up. You strengthen your bond together, but I do learn a lot that I would have never thought. Just different opinions that you can bring in to make a more well-rounded. We're still making our own decisions in life, but now we can make a more well-rounded decision and not so enclosed in just the little bubble that I'm in all the time.
I love that you found your found family, but you also found those safe spaces. They're so sacred and so amazing. This leads me to my next question. So looking back, how do you think the loss of Robbie ultimately helped you grow into the person and mother you are today?
I'm appreciative. I am more communicative. I'm incredibly grateful. Take nothing for granted. I think that internally, anything that was selfish inside of me was just gone. There's just no more room for that. And then the empathy that I now feel towards other humans, I don't know if it was because it was great loss or my empathy changed so much to be able to walk into a room and feel what other people are feeling. And I don't feel like I had that beforehand. So I do handle things with much more tact and grace. And I have a lot of people who feel that energy from me and are attracted to me. So I'm a therapist and a counselor and, they're having a hard day, but they know that they can call me and really be themselves and let it out. So I've become a mentor for a lot of humans. And I think that also softens my heart to see the secret struggles everyone's going through all the time.
I tell people, when you're in the room with Christina, she has a wonderful way of making you feel like you're the most important person in the room.
I feel that way about you.
Oh,
So true.
Do you mind if we back up just a hair? So junior's in high school, right?
Yeah.
And you take a big step and you decide to get your GED.
Yes.
Because you told us
knew it.
You told us in the previous episode that you dropped out of high school. So
Yes.
tell us, what inspired you to go back?
So I always told everyone that I finished that homeschooling program that we talked about. No one ever double checked it. On all of my applications, I would be like, Harcourt homeschool, 12 years. Okay. And no one did anything. I was successful in my career. I was doing event coordinating and bar management, beloved by most of my regulars, and I felt successful with where I was in life, but I didn't want to be in the service industry forever. It was pre-COVID, so this is 2018, 2019, and I really just started thinking about like what other careers could I do. I love school, I love education. I had never pursued further education. I a few times tried to go sign up for college, but by the time you pay tuition or you go to the classes and then you're missing out on work, I could never finagle it. Mm-hmm. So it always seemed just out of reach, but I knew I needed to get my GED before I could do any college courses. So it was like, okay, no one knows, but I know. And it bothers me. It makes me feel like I'm missing something in my life. I haven't accomplished it. So I enrolled at Lone Star College, just behind the scenes of everyone.
So absolutely nobody knew?
Junior, I told Junior about it.
Okay. So Junior knows. He's the only one.
Yeah, he was the only one. So I'm studying for my GED, and I didn't want anyone to be like, oh, she's a liar. So I'm studying myself. I basically have a 9th grade education. I need to go in for the GED testing, and each one I would psych myself out beforehand and just be a nervous wreck. So I would call Junior and be like, I'm going in for my English test. And he'd be like, Mom, you're going to do great. You know everything. Like, you've got this. And so I'm like bar managing and, dating, and no one knows. But on the inside, I'm like, oh my God, did I pass my math portion of my GED? And I did. And we threw a little party and celebrated. And that was just a really beautiful moment for me with him.
How many years apart did you guys get your GEDs?
I think it was 2.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Did you do a little celebration as well for him?
Yeah, absolutely. And then he went and did lineman school directly after that. One thing we learned with that, everyone reaches their goals at different times.
Yes.
So you could be 40 or you could be 18. It doesn't matter because everyone's on their own life path. So we can't compare ourselves to any other human in the world. We are on our own journey. And that was something that, with us being with our age gap, just being on that journey was interesting.
I love that you guys were there, like literally cheerleading each other and present for each other.
And we still do that to this day. We're constantly cheering each other on. Yeah, he's my biggest supporter of my small business, for sure.
Sorry, I'm just...
Crying episode.
Yes, it is. But I'm just in awe of the relationship you guys have together and the way both of you guys walked together on your journey.
Well, you ready to talk about my favorite part? My favorite part of all of these episodes is talking about the boons. The boons and the gifts that you have received from all this work that you've done on yourself over the years.
Right.
So tell us about some of your significant boons. I've got a list, but I'll let you go first.
I love my small business. I'm a photographer / videographer / creative stylist / just put me in a project, and I love to do as much as possible as a creative. I had a camera put in my hands in 2018, and didn't know that I was going to love it so much. And it has brought so much light into my life. And I think being here in this area, when it was something I discovered that I loved, everyone supported me and hired me and promoted me and marketed me to the point that I can do it full time now. And I didn't want to be in the service industry forever. And you could have never told me that this is what I was going to be doing. That is still customer service based. I still get to meet a ton of humans and be social, but I also get to capture the most beautiful moments in people's lives. And there's so many of them. And like, I get to see you at your best and your worst, you know? And I appreciate that. And I think that everything that I've gone through allows me to have this very calming demeanor with my clients. Photographs are really hard to do, you guys. Like, you are the mom who is putting together 3 little ones' outfits and your husband's attire and yours, and making sure your hair is curled and you're all on time and everyone's happy in bed. And, you know, I see the struggle in that. So they'll show up and they're like wide-eyed. And I'm like, you're doing a great job. And I'm able, and the kids are mad, and the husband doesn't want to be there. Or there's an uncle who's like, I don't button my shirt. And there are so many different dynamics, and I'm able to navigate each one of those personality traits, appreciate them, make it fun for them. And I hear all the time, we hate photos, but this was really fun. Or like, you know, I didn't think that I was going to like this, but you made it great. Thank you. And even explaining to the little ones on a level that they understand, hey, these are like really important, Mom. So I'm going to make it fun. We're going to jump and we're going to do things. And if at any point you don't want to do it anymore, but being able to pull them out of their little personalities and go to tell the parents and be like, wow, your kids are very well behaved. And the parents being like, I don't know who those kids are. That's oh, I love that. And I get these little like glimpses into people's lives that I'm so appreciative. So you can just see it all in a flash. So photography is definitely something I think I would not have been given or gifted if I hadn't been through these other trials and tribulations. Another thing, 100% my relationship with my son. I don't know. I would like to think that we would be this close, but had I not softened my heart and learned to listen more and appreciate that his opinion really matters, and you know, he does know what he's talking about. He's very wise for his age, and he is learning with me. And just acceptance of all of that as a human with him. I love our relationship. I really hope that one day, and of course your biggest fear, right, is when they find a significant other. It's a very unique situation because I don't want to be the overbearing mother-in-law. I do a lot of weddings where you can see the dynamics between the daughter, the mother-in-law, and you find really beautiful ones, but then you find the ones where there's annoyances. And I always tell him, if there's ever anything I do, I can change. We're bringing the matriarch of this family into the family one day when you get married and have children. And if I ever do anything to offend, I can change, because all I want are those really cute family functions, the Christmases, like, I want traditions. So I look forward to that. And I want to navigate that so carefully so that I'm not in the way or obtrusive. I just want to sit there and enjoy it with you guys. But you know, that's rare.
Yes. Incredible. That's so considerate.
Yeah. I want to be multi-generational household. Like, how can I help? Free hands. Having someone who communicates with you so well, you know, when he's excited and calls me and he's like less than humble, man, Ma, I am really good looking.
He's not lying. He's telling the truth.
Man, Ma, I am really good at my job. And I'm like, I love that for you.
With Junior's permission, we'll have to pop up a picture.
So Christina, can you tell us about some of the ways you are giving back to the community?
Yes. I absolutely love any event that I get to capture. There's a few different charities that I work with. So I do American Heart Association, wonderful community of humans raising money for heart disease. Just this last Saturday was the Houston Heart Walk. It was 6,000 attendees. And I walked around and was able to meet so many humans and hug them. and this is all incredibly discounted or free work. It's an entire morning. It's 4 hours out in the heat, but it's not work. It's a passion project. And I leave there feeling so humbled, appreciative, overjoyed. My happy battery is full because a sense of community coming together. There's another nonprofit I really love called Naomi's Grace. She's local here in Katy. It's a mother whose baby drowned in her jacuzzi, and she turned that tragedy into an educational experience for other parents, and both of us bonded over losing young children together, and I get to do all of her family photography now, but she does these huge walks here in town, hundreds and hundreds of participants, and all of the proceeds go to give scholarships to other babies for drowning prevention. Touching,
Amazing.
heartbreaking. I leave every event bawling, crying, but I mean, she's out there with her grief and pain, touching lives and saving lives. So it's an honor to be a part of that. Just this last Sunday, I did I did a portrait session with about 17 humans that showed up with photos of their bereaved loved ones. So we had grandparents, parents, puppy dogs. I took one with my son. Death from every aspect. So suicide, SIDS, natural causes. And being able to take a moment with each one of those participants to talk about, who is this? Who are we meeting? This is Juan. Juan looks very handsome. When did Juan pass? How old were you when this happened? Did you have this photo printed, or did you have to go print it? How did that make you feel? And them having a moment with me to open up and say, it was actually really hard and I didn't expect it to be. It bubbled up all of these emotions, and I bawled crying yesterday or just now, or were genuinely in tears while we were talking. And then thanking them for having a moment to come in and remember our loved ones, because we all have that one commonality, and that is we've all experienced grief in some way. So it's the ultimate human connection. But our loved ones' memory don't die if we continue to say their names. So it's a beautiful opportunity for me to help other humans let those memories live on.
I love that.
And I also cried.
I'm crying too.
Yeah, so it's a beautiful gallery.
I want you to write down that quote.
Their memories are only lost when we don't speak their name anymore. So as long as I can say his name every year, his memory will continue to live on through me. And that's the thing. If you cremated or buried your loved one, it's where do you go? So we chose cremation. And that's why the Frio River is so near and dear to me. That's almost like my grave site, to go and be one with his memory. But I now see the benefit and why people would like a gravestone to go to. Just to go and sit with that memory and see the name there, and the way that continues to let it live on is really interesting for me.
Any other opportunities in the community? I know you're constantly giving to the community. I mean, you gave so freely to us to help us get the podcast started,
Yes.
so thanks again for that.
Yeah, I've helped several women this last year get their businesses up and going, help them with their branding, portrait sessions, just donating my time to that, never gatekeeping. Any information or knowledge I have, freely giving it, because I feel as if I've been freely given it. I am vice president of the Houston Entrepreneurs and Professionals Network in Houston through the American Businesswomen's Association. So I really love, we're doing a few community-oriented fundraisers this year, and we always give back to other entrepreneurs and women in the community that just need a little boost for their business.
You've mentored my son.
Yes. Weston is amazing. He needed one more mentorship, and then I basically hired him and was like, you're hired, you're an assistant now.
Yeah, but at the
same time, I mean, not only are you've helped him in photography, but just in life in general. I know he still calls your husband, seeks out his experiences. So that's been a huge, huge help to me, that he has another set of adults to call because, kids, I don't know anything. What do I know? But Rick and Christina, they know everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's nice that even my son has those adult mentors. So that's the communal wisdom that we talked about, being able to reach out. Because I don't know anything either. Like, I could tell my son all day long what I would do, but in the end, they have to make their own decisions and learn from them.
Yes.
So it's nice when I know that, like, the aunties are probably going to give the same advice that I would give.
I love how you're like literally building a family through these relationships.
Yeah.
That they may not be biological.
Yeah,
but
Weston will be family for forever.
you're like this mother figure to so many, in how you went from being a 13-year-old mother to this grand extended spiritual family.
Yes, and
It's
it is
incredible.
interesting the different roles you play as a human with your friends and your found family. I am the mama bear in some of them, and in some of them, I'm the baby bear. It's this constant circle, a domino effect of like, you're mentoring me, I'm mentoring you, you're going to come back and mentor this person, and just constant connection.
What do you hope listeners will take away from your story?
Whatever you're going through right now is just in this one moment. It is just a phase in your life. You will get through this. Time changes so much. You don't think when you're in the moment and your grief is so strong and your life is so hard and the bills are stacked, but it's all momentary. So just take a deep breath, do the very best that you can, and it's all going to work out in the end. And it's going to be better than you thought it would be.
Some serious wise words. I feel like we could publish all your little anecdotes. So we always end our monomyths with the attitude of gratitude. So Christina, is there anybody you wish to shout out today?
Yes, I am very grateful for my son. I am very grateful for my found family. And I'm very grateful for my camera.
That it was introduced to you.
Yes, absolutely. It's one of the greatest gifts I've ever been given, and I'll always be so appreciative to have found that creative outlet. Definitely, I'm very grateful to both of you for letting me share my story today.
You've been so brave and so courageous. I truly appreciate that you're willing to be open and share this so that we can all grow from your story.
And if I can connect with anyone who's going through something similar, I'd love to chat with them, mentor them. So if there's anyone that hears this and you feel like you're going through it, follow me on Insta, shoot me a message, and we'll become quick friends, I promise.
What's your Insta handle?
Christina Rabbit Griffin for personal and WDR Imagery for business.
As we reflect on Christina's second episode, we're reminded of the incredible impact her story has had on us. We want to thank her for her bravery and her authenticity.
We are exceptionally grateful for the inspiration she has brought to this space. To our listeners, we're honored to have had the opportunity to share Christina's journey with you.
Thanks for joining us.
Yay!
Thank you for joining us on the Monomyth Diaries. If this episode resonates with you or someone you know, we'd love for you to share it and spread the inspiration.
Don't forget to follow us wherever you get your podcasts or on YouTube to stay connected.
We'd appreciate it if you could take a moment and rate and review the podcast. It helps us reach more people with stories of transformation and growth.
You can visit us at monomythdiaries.com or text us directly from the show notes to reach out and keep the conversations going.
Until next time, heroes, let's journey together through our monomyths.